while I was there, I didn't ask for a picture. While I was there, they said, "Sir, could we have a picture at the grave? You have the tombstone. You have the name of the tombstone." They're crying. They died because of incompetent leadership of Harris and Biden. They said, "Sir, could we have a picture?" I said, "Yes." All of a sudden, I hear that it's some kind of a PR thing. It's a disgrace.
It's Donald Trump speaking to NBC's Dasha Burns yesterday, defending his decision to pose for photos at the graves of fallen soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery on Monday, smiling with a thumbs up, despite his team being told it was against the rules. In a statement yesterday, an Army spokesperson wrote that an Arlington employee was, quote, abruptly pushed aside by one of Trump's staffers. And Trump's campaign manager's not backing down either, posting a video yesterday of the former president at the cemetery, along with the caption, reposting this, hoping to trigger the hacks at the Army. The hacks at the Army. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey. She's a retired Navy helicopter pilot and a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congresswoman, it's great to have you with us this morning. In case anyone needs any reminding, could you explain why we call Arlington National Cemetery such a sacred place and your sort of assessment of what we've seen from this story over the last few days?
Willie, your discussion of it as a sacred place is exactly right. This is where we bury our war dead, the most important cemetery for that. It's where the tomb of the unknown soldier is kept, and it is something that every veteran is aware of and knows, and the respect that it deserves. And to have Trump, who has a history of degrading service and veteran service, to go there, push aside the person from the Army who was trying to keep that space sacred, and then to post a video, a campaign video on TikTok against federal law, but really against basic decency, is so incredibly offensive. You know, he has hit so many lows when it comes to service members and veterans, when it comes to John McCain and calling service members suckers and losers, you know, being a draft dodger himself with his, you know, fake bone spurs. And then to continue this really, though, comes across to me as a new low. I've already received outreach from veterans in my district who are really upset by this. It's really hard to describe.
Gene, you're writing about this morning in the Washington Post, and it is so telling, is it not, that the Army staffer did not want to press charges because he or she did not want to face the consequences that would come, perhaps, from crossing Donald Trump. Yeah. Having watched our public discourse for the last decade, knowing that either Donald Trump would attack this person or that his supporters would attack this person, deciding not to press charges, but making clear the Army yesterday, there was an incident where somebody who works at Arlington National Cemetery was muscled out of the way by the Trump campaign.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And, you know, I wrote that column because sometimes we tend to, Donald Trump does something awful, unprecedented, unimaginable, and we just sort of move on, right? Because he does that all the time. But this just struck me as just so beyond the pale and so un-American and so just really unbelievable that he would do that. Number one, that he would bring this campaign camera crew into Section 60, where they were clearly explicitly not to go, that they would push an employee out of the way to get there, and then they would take the picture. He speaks in that interview as if, oh, well, these people just wanted this picture. No, he brought the camera crew there. It's just unbelievable. But Congresswoman, this is obviously not the first time Donald Trump has shown that he has no idea what honor means, no idea what patriotism means, no idea what sacrifice means. And so you, as a veteran, can you explain to me why any veteran supports Donald Trump, or could, you know, why any veteran is not completely and totally offended and outraged by everything he has done since his first criticism of John McCain, which was, years ago now, 2015.
No, I certainly couldn't explain why any veteran would want to support this man, who I think, as commander-in-chief of our military, he, as I said, denigrated veterans in so many different ways, refused to get out of the car to honor World War I soldiers who'd fallen in battle, has said he didn't want to be seen with disabled veterans. How anyone could want to support this person after all that he's done. And I think what really bites here is the fact that this is someone who tries to cloak himself in all of the honors and the medals and tries to surround himself with the military, tries to utilize the military as his own personal militia at his command and his will, and yet denigrates the service of people, because I would say deep down, he has no concept of service to country. He has no concept of serving other people. For Donald Trump, it's always all about himself. So he wants the pageantry. He wants to be honored. And yet he has no honor or respect for our service members, our veterans, or our war dead.
Yeah, and he infamously said to General Kelly at one of those cemeteries, what was in it for them? Showing he has no understanding of what it means to sacrifice for the country. Trump also held a campaign event yesterday in Michigan where he doubled down on another recent comment that caused backlash within the military community, where he said he'd rather get a Medal of Freedom than a Medal of Honor because one doesn't require suffering combat injuries. Here's what he said.
I always say there are two awards: is the Medal of Honor, and oftentimes is posthumously where, they're not there. Oftentimes they've died in battle and they're getting the award. And then you have the civilian version, the Presidential Medal. And I always say I'd rather get the Presidential Medal because the guys that came in, other than you and a few others, oftentimes they've suffered greatly, right? They've suffered greatly, or they're not around.
Congressman, it's amazing to those of us who have such respect for people like you, who have such respect for our veterans and our military, to see him actually doubling down on that. To most people, that would be a horrible gaffe and a blunder and a grotesque thing to say that you'd never want to repeat again. You might even apologize for having said it in the first place, except he seems to be leaning into it.
He just, again, Willie, does not understand anything beyond his own self-interest, and would never understand why those of us who've served are proud of our service, are proud to have served our country. My own daughter's in service now, so this is something I'm deeply committed to. I'm deeply committed to this country and making sure that I and other members of my family are always protecting the constitutional rights of people throughout this country. I love our democracy. It is something that he obviously has zero concept of, as he enjoys those very freedoms that so many people have died to protect.
Congressman Sherrill, this is Eddie Glaude. I mean, given what we've just heard and what we see with Donald Trump, and then what we saw last week with the Democratic National Convention, what do you make of Democrats now taking up the mantle of patriotism? The way in which the vice president is invoking love of country in light of what we see and hear from the likes of Donald Trump?
Well, I'm going to share Adam Kinzinger's secret that Democrats have always loved their country very, very deeply. And I think that, something that my daughter once said to me really resounded with me. She said, I love this country. And some people think that loving your country means just saying your country is always right no matter what. But I think loving your country is always working hard to make it even better. And that's what Democrats believe, right? That we have a fantastic country, despite the fact that Donald Trump denigrates America all of the time. We have a fantastic country we're very proud of. And now we're going to work to make the future brighter for all of our kids and to create greater opportunity for everyone here. And that's what the Harris Waltz team, I think, speaks of to everyone. I look at that team and it reminds me of of the America I grew up in. This idea that we are a diverse nation of opportunity, and the ability of anyone to make it in this country is so iconic. We call it the American dream, that we are a beacon for people around the world of democracy and our constitutional values. That's what they say to me when I hear from that ticket, when I see the lives that they live. And it could not be a sharper contrast between the love of country and the service of both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and the difference between Donald Trump, who denigrates those who care about this country and denigrates this country at every turn.
I mean, he runs down America every chance he gets. It's amazing. I guess that's the strategy, to say he's the only person who can build it up, except, as you say, I think most Americans view their country that way. Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey, thank you for time, and thank you for your service to the country. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.